Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Ballava Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yamunatira Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Manachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Shila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, creation, and these are prayers by Queen Kunti. This is chapter 8. So I'll just start by a word-for-word translation, then I'll just read the sloka. It sounds good. Tata. Besides that. Paramahasanam. Of the advanced transcendentalists. Munina. Of the great philosophers or mental speculators. Amala Atmanam. Those whose minds are competent to discern between matter and spirit. It's great. Bhakti Yoga. The science of devotional service. Vidanam Artam. For executing. Gatam. How. Vyashyema. Can observe. He. Certainly. Shriyaya. Women. Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalaitapmanam Bhakti Yogan Vidayanaratam Kataham Prasyima Shriyaya. Translation. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. He is knowable only by one who has His mercy. Others may go on thinking about Him for years together, yet He is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated by the Queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and the almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer their obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that He does not show special favour only to one who is a great philosopher. He shows the sincerity of purpose. He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that women are more interested than men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervour. Om Ganantam Randasya Janatya Salakaya Chakshamulitam Nina Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statipam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dantika Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, turning with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamala Shri Gurun Vaishanam Vascha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahi Karuna Raghunatham Tam Vitam Tam Shri Jivam Shri Advaita Savaditum Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Swabhyasi Vasikan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopiksha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosvate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radha Vrindavanishvare Vishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo No Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'll just read the verse once more. You yourself, translation, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced, transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? It just reminds me of that line that is it real knowledge is to know matter, know the difference between matter and spirit. That's real knowledge. So here, short purport, but it's packed. Interesting sort of knowledge. Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. So these very interesting things, all these sort of qualifications on the material platform do not qualify one to know the supreme absolute truth, Lord Shri Krishna. These are not, they may help in some, obviously as you're approaching devotional service, then learning obviously is very helpful, because you can, all types of people come to devotional service. So the inquisitive is one of these four people, and then obviously the distressed for approaching devotional service, and then you got the seeker of wealth, and then you have the person who wants to know who God is. So he's, like it says here, he's unknowable by the greatest learning or by the greatest brain. He is knowable only by one who has his mercy. So this is the reason that when we approach devotional service, we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Then sincerity needs to be there. If we have sincerity, then we're more liable to receive the mercy, because sincerity is honesty, really. It's about honesty. We're so duplicitous in our conditioned state. We have a cheating propensity. We make mistakes. With this cheating propensity, obviously, just because you've got an open dirty, and a devotional dress as you walk in the door of the Hare Krishna temple, then you don't automatically become a pure devotee. So you bring all your baggage with you. So this baggage is lots of sort of misconceptions, which obviously are cleared up by reading Prabhupada's books and by performing devotional service by association with devotees. These conceptions or misconceptions are actually gradually cleared up. But as we're walking the door, we have all these misconceptions because we, at least as we're like inhabiting these male bodies, then we're prone to like speculate. We like knowledge. We're rational. We're not so rooted to the emotional side of our nature. Whereas women are more rooted to the emotional side, and then the more simplistic, which is not a derogatory statement, that's actually a qualification for a devotee. A devotee is simple and straightforward. So they're more simple, and they're more, as it says in the purport, they will accept the superiority of God at once. That without reservation, they'll offer obeisances. And obviously, you can see in the as you were growing up, there was a tendency, or there is a tendency of more women, in churches and mosques and places like that. They tend to be more religiously inclined. And I remember my mother used to take me, she didn't drag me, she used to take me to church all the time in the evening when things were rough. I won't go into details. When things were rough, she would take me to church every evening. Why she took me, I don't know. But she took me, and she would, she said an interesting prayer. She says that she hoped that her children would be a force of good in this world. That's some of the prayers she used to pray. She used to pray that, say that prayer, So, and then obviously one of her children joined the Hare Krishna movement, and the others did a teacher and studied religion and things like this, working for the community. We didn't end up in prisons, things like that. So the prayers of a mother are very powerful, because they're simple. They're from the heart. So. So others may go on thinking about him for years together, yet he is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated by the Queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favour only to one who is a great philosopher. So that's very important. So devotional service is for everybody. It's not just if we're more situated in the mode of goodness, we may be more inclined to for philosophy. If we're more in the mode of passion, you like to do things. You're more into preaching and getting things done. Whatever, and even if we're in the mode of ignorance, we just get on with things, perhaps. So you're subject to like laziness and procrastination. Hopefully that will go really quickly. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that no matter how we're conditioned by the modes of material nature, and it's obviously the modes are always fighting and stuff, but still the Lord doesn't show, it isn't partial to just the philosophers. Obviously, it's more helpful if you're in the mode of goodness, because then you can understand things as they are. You can perceive very quickly, on the spiritual path. So that is the aim. You may come to the movement. You may be already more situated in the mode of goodness. There's a few people I've met outside and you know, when you're preaching outside and you meet people, and you know, you can tell straight away someone who's in the mode of goodness, and they're following some particular spiritual path. As the situation at the moment is quite interesting, because you know, we were out on the street yesterday for you know, some Prabhupada's appearance day, and there's one guy turned up, and he was definitely a mode of goodness type person, you know, and into philosophy, and you know, obviously a mixture of mode of goodness, mode of passion, because he was like a traveller, he liked travelling and doing exciting things. He's young. But I've got his contact number. But my point is that when we're out there, we're doing Harinam and we're distributing Prabhupada's books, especially at this time, then interesting people are coming forward. There's two this week I'd met. This is the second person who would say was like, if they took to devotional service, they would shine. Simple as that, you know. So we must be out there. And distribute this knowledge and chant the holy name and trap these people, because they're out there. They're searching. They're looking, especially now. And we should be out there. It'd be nice to have Harinam at least 2 or 3 times a week in Dublin. I thought yesterday that Thursday would be a brilliant day to have a Harinam. A really brilliant day. You know. We used to do that when Pramananda was here. We used to do it on Thursday evenings, late, about 5 o'clock, and it was like buzzing. You know. So my point, I won't labour the point too much, but if we're out on the street for 2 or 3 days a week, then the people of Dublin will take us seriously. You know, simple as that. Because they'll see you. And they'll start taking you seriously. So then you can actually make devotees. Very unusual statement to make, but you can. As simple as that. Anyway, won't labour the point. So the Lord, He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason, only women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that women are more interested than men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervour. So that's it. So it's like if you come to the movement and you're sincere, then the Lord will accept you. So simple as that. And if we're pursuing, if we're just making a show, or we have ulterior motives, then the mercy is withheld. As simple as that, really. Do you have any questions?
Not yet. Not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
You can go.
Okay. All right. But I'll mention a few things.
Please.
I'll mention a few things. So it's mentioned about the simplicity of women, and then elsewhere it mentions it's just the woman's nature. So you've got the nature is the woman's nature is rooted to the home, and you can see this in you know, you've got male and female, and believe it or not, we have male and female in the animal species, and you know the function of the male and the female in the animal species is exactly the same. So the male hunter gatherer or whatever. Well, I don't want to use terms that are too rooted in. Right. So you've got usually the male goes out and hunts, and the female is rooted in the den or whatever. If we're talking about cats and dogs or whatever, looks after the offspring, and so the female's behaviour is different, and it's rooted to protecting the children. It's rooted to the home, whereas the male is more out there, go out there to get something done, whatever, a bit of adventure, whatever, you know, whatever, a bit of an explorer. I mean, so I'm generalising here, but that's their nature. So same here when you're born in the human, when we're lucky enough to get born in the human species of life. So we take turns. We may be male in one life or female in the next life or whatever, but the male will actually explore, will be, you know, seeking. You'll be obviously sleeping, eating, mating, and defending. So defending in this human life is at this time of life is sort of you get your job, you look after your wife, you support your home, etc. The wife looks after the children. So the woman's rooted in the home, and the consciousness is rooted in that way. So it's not when you read through Prabhupada's books and you hear things about women are less intelligent or whatever. This is not it's not a degradation of women. It's just stating the fact that my understanding is stating the fact that women are more rooted to the material things, whereas the men, they're more grounded, if you like, to the material things, because their function is to raise a family. So they can't be lofty, speculating, philosophers, whatever, because they have to be rooted and grounded, and they're the backbone of the family. They're basically the king or the queen of the household. So that's the duty. And the men, obviously, we have this tendency to think, as they say, speculate. What if this? What if that? Or whatever, and that can be dovetailed in devotional service. But when women come to devotional service, they can be just as sharp, just as with it as the men, and perhaps more so. Just depends on the person's karma, on their sort of on how they take to devotional service and how they apply their abilities. So there's so many abilities. I remember that one devotee, a lady, she came to, I won't mention her name, we were on Inner Shrath, and I was asked to give a class, and I looked at it was a 10th canto, and it was just a spontaneous, a bit like today, it was a spontaneous thing, and then they told me to give a class, and I didn't want to give the class, I just did not want to. And I looked at it, I thought, I won't be able to give that class, because it's a very short purport, probably about 6 lines in the 10th canto. I thought, what am I going to talk about, and she knew that I didn't want to give the class. She knew, and then she said, from the audience, she said, would you like me to give the class? And I went, yes. Like that. So she came, she gave the class. So she was just as spontaneous as I was, but she gave a brilliant class, absolutely brilliant, and that was it. So floored me, no problem, So that's what I'm saying. So we have to, understand Prabhupada and his words, when they're presented in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. They're not as, there's a lot more to it. It's not just a surface level thing. You have to go deep into Prabhupada's books, and then you'll realise what he's actually meaning, what he's actually alluding to, what he's actually talking about. And that's all I can say. Hare Krishna. So,
thank you, wonderful point. We have to go deep in Prabhupada's books. But can you elaborate what it means to go deep in Prabhupada's books?
Cross-reference, okay. So there was Shivaram Swami was giving he gave a beautiful series of lectures on the 3 modes of material nature, and then he made one point. He says when it says the modes of material nature are always competing for one another, and then he mentioned that you can use one mode of material nature to uproot another, right? And then he says, how many people have read this and then just read it and that's it? You read the purport, it was in the Bhagavad Gita, you read it and that's it. And then and basically everyone said, oh yeah, we just read it. And he says, well, you don't read deeply enough, do you? Because what he was saying was you can go to different parts of the Bhagavatam and read about the modes of material nature, and then you'll understand what's actually been mentioned, or give examples of what's been mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, how the different modes of fighting, and you can actually, for example, if we're in the mode of ignorance, we're sleepy, whatever, then we can use the mode of passion to defeat the mode of ignorance by getting up, obviously have a shower and stuff like that, and you get out on books, you get out and do whatever, instead of just hanging around the temple. You can hang around the temple and read the books and chant Hare Krishna. That's mode of goodness as well. Like, but it's just hanging around, then that some lost soul, we might say. Then that's mode of ignorance, just because you're being inactive. So that's what it was meant by actually using one mode to defeat another. But you can have philosophical explanations from different parts of the Bhagavatam and also the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this cross-referencing. So you can really go deep into a subject by this cross-referencing. Obviously it's made more easier now. Then you got all these gadgets and stuff, and you can,
database.
Exactly. You can really go into it. Whereas before you had to have all-in-one Bhagavatam. I think it was all-in-one. It went to like 9 cantos, and it had the whole lot in. I mean, Pramana had one, and then you had to have a copy of, say one section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita if you were lucky. And then obviously Bhagavad Gita, but so their cross-referencing was very difficult. But now database you can get there straight away, So it's a lot easier to prepare classes. But there is one interesting thing that Prabhupada, my understanding of giving, that's just when I joined the movement, Tribhuvanatha was around, and then my understanding was when you give a Bhagavatam class, is you speak on your realizations, and then that's it. And this is obviously when Srila Prabhupada was first getting devotees to give classes. And then he said, you just speak your realizations. It wasn't this reading from different books. And then he never did that. He said, you should, obviously he's training devotees up, so I don't want to comment on, I'm not making I'm just making the statement that that's how Srila Prabhupada trained the devotees up. They would speak on Bhagavatam. If your knowledge, your realised knowledge, if you could only speak 10 minutes or 5 minutes, that was fine. But don't speculate. so that's what he'd say to the devotees. Just speak what you know and then finish the class. And that's what they did. So it's not a crime to have a short class, but it's a crime to sort of
speculate.
Speculate and waffle and the whole thing. Just speak what you know, because then you've transmitted pure transcendental sound vibration, and you've done good. Whereas if we just speculate and waffle, then that's just wasting time. So this is the beauty of the Krishna consciousness movement. You can use your time to every moment of the day to advance in Krishna consciousness. So that's what Prabhupada was getting at when he's saying just speak on your realizations. So
thank you for your realizations.
I'm trying to put that into practice. Hare Krishna. So anyway, I've said everything, and
thank you. Yeah, there's no comments or questions in the online section today.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
it's a short class, but if you want to speculate. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. And we've got a Harinam on Saturday at 3:30, and it'd be nice if we could get a Harinam down from the island. That'd be good on a Tuesday or a Thursday. I think you mentioned Tuesday, but like I said, if you can get down, that'd be really good. And like I said, the people in Dublin take notice of the Hare Krishna movement if we get three Harinams going. And we can do it. We just have to have the desire. Simple as that. And people will come out of the woodwork. Devotees will come out of the woodwork if we do it. And that's 3 a week. So I'd like to leave you on that note. Hare Krishna.